So my name is Mwikali. Hi. I'm the convener of Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defender, and I'm a proud, happy African feminist activist. You get it, huh? And I'm going to talk a bit on what we do. We are a social movement of grassroots activists, whereby we are very inclusive in terms of rights. Because also we have defenders that defend the rights of farmers, and also we have farmers who are also defenders. And for us who are defenders like me, who defend the rights of women in all platform and in all sector, that's why I'm here. So I'm going to talk about introduction, why I took this topic, and this was a movement, why we thought it's very important. One, it's because gender issues are crucial to be addressed in development, being that gender equality is also a human rights. To the defenders in the room, because I'm seeing some that I've met here. We should not take a gender issue as if it's not a human right. And the way I really like the idea when the speaker also asks, the tables, are they gender inclusive or they're not gender inclusive? Also in our spaces and also in farming, are we gender inclusive? And the other reason is about economic reasons, especially for agriculture sector, where gender inequality in access to and control over resources and land are persistent. In our own community and in our own spaces, when you talk about agriculture, whether it's small-scale farmers or large-scale farmers, where does it come about? Does it come to land ownership? Who owns the land, majority? And also I'll throw that question to you. Who owns the land? Are they women or men? Are they young men or young women? Huh? Why are you not sure? So it's something that we need to ask ourselves so that we're able to know, if we're to achieve gender equality, who control resources? The other one is this undermines sustainable and inclusive development of the sector. Because if you're about to talk the sector and the issues of land is not inclusive, there's something wrong that we need to address as a sector. Distribution issues are related to gender differences arising from social constructed relationship between men and women. And I really liked also the idea that also Elizabeth brought in terms of if most of the time, and if you look the 24-hour clock system of us women and young women, who wakes up first in the house? Women, I cannot hear you, even the men. Who wakes up very early in the morning? And who goes to bed late? Majority is women. True or false? True or false? So we need to know in that our relationship. How do you use that unpaid also care work to be work, but also when it comes to resources, who controls it and who owns it? Sorry, what is up? No, we are not used to these things, in the grassroots. Watu wa mashinani, si ndio? Wa mashinani mpo? Si ya film mko tu. So also the effect that the distribution of resources between them can cause many constraints in development outcomes. Because if you're talking about development, you need to look also inclusivity of what also effort is brought on the table. If you don't look what women are bringing on the table, there's a problem that we need to fix, all of us. And then also gender roles and relationship affect agriculture and households, welfare critical for human development. It's also like what I repeated before, we need to consider. We must also stress more on rights of women and youth to own land, especially young women. And this one was giving an example, mostly when you talk about youth, especially the urban youth. And for those of us who come from the informal settlements, you find majority of us, because we have been localized in a town, and we call even town our own rural area, we don't have enough land to also plow unless you're using a sack garden. But you find also we have youth who are coming from the rural areas to Nairobi, and majority also have rights to land, but also claim they are poor. So we need to try to look the dynamics. When you say you are poor as a youth, you don't have access to land, what does it mean? Is it you have left your land in the village, come to Nairobi like in Mathare? Or is it a Mathare youth who's in the informal settlement but does not have access to land, and also you're fighting for the same resources? And also in terms of ownership and being a young woman, is it accessible with the dynamics and retrogressive culture that we have in our community? Is it accessible for the young women? Because majority of the families, we are living in a very patriarchal system, especially in our continent, in our country, are they giving us as young women rights to own land? In a manner I can say, this is also my land. And also to the most of the aided households, which are led by men, aided households, do we consider as a right to give our girl child land? Or we say, if they are married, they'll take it from there. And when they are married, and look in terms of inheritance, property inheritance, the dynamics and struggle within it, are we there to support our young women? Now I'm looking also at the aspect of women contribution in agriculture. And this one I came clearly to look in terms of we should be able to change retrogressive social norms and culture that work against women to ensure they are effective to agriculture. According to FAO, 70% of women on the food on the table is produced by small-scale farmer, which covers 75% of women. And this one, I'm very critical in terms of the competition and what happened in Kenya last year before election. The issue on our staple food, ugali, there was, the price had already gone up. And if you can look, most of the small-scale farmers, even in Kenya, they're the ones who produce food. And majority are them being women. What supports are we giving them? Or do we only focus with the main large-scale farmers and forgetting about women who contribute in a manner whereby it also reduces also the markets at the same time the work of the small-scale farmers? We need to ask ourselves this question because we have seen a lot of, especially local industries, being shut down like Mumias, and also young farmers who are farming in the grassroots communities, their work not being supported even from different stakeholders. So we need to ask ourselves those questions. And how can we come with different strategies to ensure the effort of women is also recognized? Because when we talk about farm, we only focus on the efforts of men, but not on the efforts of women. This means that women are central in food production. And we cannot leave women on this. We cannot. As much as that reality, 65 and above of men are the ones owning land, but also we cannot forget that majority of food production and majority of a lot of work also at the farm is being done on women. What are we doing also to address inequalities in agriculture? So that's also another question that I need to ask different stakeholders and different organizations, and each one of us that in this room. What are we doing to address inequalities? Inequalities being, it's able to accommodate both the peasant farmer, the ones who are doing in terms of markets, at the same time, the young women who are also in the same fields, and also changing the narrative of saying also youth, we are the leaders of tomorrow, or youth, we don't want to be associated with agriculture. But for the youth also who have been in the agriculture, how are we using them as an example to the fellow youth? Giving an example in terms of this is what we have done, and this is how agriculture has also impacted our lives. Because you cannot live, food is also a right. So on women and agriculture, so also the question, the reason why I put also a lot, also favorite colors, and also with the moderator, in terms of also when you talk about gender justice, it's very inclusive. And women, we are very a big, converse group. At the same time, gender is very inclusive. You cannot talk about gender, it's only men and women. We also have the minority in it, in the group of gender justice. How do we address in a manner it's very inclusive, but not looking on one and leaving the other? So it's very important when we do also mapping and with the different stakeholders, how are we looking at it? Hallelujah. Comrades power. So also continuation, for instance, on the flower farms, here in Nairobi, and also we have comrades also from Uganda that's also pushing the struggle. A lot of women work in the flower farms, but the condition, is it good for the women? And even how their labors, how they are paid. Are they paid good money or they are being oppressed? Let's think about it. Because most of us, as much as we can look on another aspects, we don't look on the condition of these farmers, where they're working. About their health also, when you say that what we eat also matters in terms of our health. So it's very important to try to see, in these deplorable conditions, what are we doing about in terms of human rights? Because also their condition and health, and also what they are putting in terms of their labor, it's also human rights. And you also find the majority of the farm owners are men, not women. Men in the room. In It's not like we are eating you. We want to try to change the narrative. And now, how do we also deconstruct the power relation, being that patriarchy came before capitalism? Patriarchy meaning like a lot of entitlement and ownership comes from the men, which came before the power and issue of capitalism. So as much as we own money, we also like accessing money also to the women who work so hard. And how do you dismantle this patriarchy in a manner? It does not suppress women, but also not saying I'm talking on behalf of women or the farmers, but letting also at the same time the farmers talk themselves, and also like the defenders who defend farmers, are they brought in the discussion of also like the agriculture platform to also say the issues they go through when defending the farmers? And now in terms of questions, it's good, very good like to ask ourselves a lot of questions so that also we might be able to get answers within ourselves, at the same time like be able to challenge ourselves. And this is how like we ask, like we try to come up is how now do we deconstruct power relation, being that patriarchy became before capitalism, that one we've asked, but you need to measure in different aspects. Yes, the youth need money, we want agriculture to look more sexy in money, but at the same time, we find a lot of people also like selling the agriculture products and sleeping hungry, which also will reduce the issue of also the kind of food they need to eat. How do we encourage in terms of their livelihood, what they need to eat? Is it healthy? Like what I'd say, or just food? We need to ensure like we have healthy food. At the same time, like in terms of also like how we eat, do you only consider like food has to be more with only meat and not more vegetables? And the thing that also comes back to the challenge of us youths, when we say vegetables, they are for the older people or not for our own side. So we need also to ask ourselves those questions. Because what you eat, it matters. And the youth and agriculture, youth empowerment projects and agriculture are mainly targeting young men, leaving out young women like the way I said. And we talk about also the Youth Enterprise Fund. Majority being a youth in this country, being from informal settlement, but with also affirming my different privilege, it only goes to the youth groups that are more male constructed, not women. And when it comes to the group, it's only the men who make decisions in those groups, not the women. So we need to know, like when we are talking about empowerment, is it inclusive? This is also constraint of limiting young women effective contribution to agriculture, because if you cannot also give me the power, don't put me because you want gender equality. Let me be there because I can also challenge the social power construction. At the same time, I can contribute effectively as primary stakeholder in agriculture, not just to push numbers or rubber stamp. Different stakeholders need to rethink strategically on how to bridge the gap between urban youth and rural youth. And the importance of taking them as primary stakeholder in development of agriculture in the region, not only in Kenya, but in the region. Both small-scale farmers and also large-scale farmers. How do you try to bridge that gap? And as Coalition for Grassroots Human Rights Defender, which we are a social movement, what we have been able to do with our comrades, because we have also like cluster in Machakos, which we realized their struggle is not the same as the activists in Nairobi. When we went to do there like our own convening, we realized that more of their issues more on how their rights as farmers has been derailed, on how they are oppressed, when also they go and sell their products, and how they get oppressed. So also we had like our partner social movement, which is called Kenya Peace and League. We had to draft, like when we went to also do with another partner movement on the right of peace and farmer, we had to meet with a local county assembly committee on agriculture to see on how they can localize. And also if it goes through the UN Security Council General Assembly, how the Kenyan county government can engage with both the urban youth at the same time with the peace and farmer to ensure that our right as farmers or our right as defenders who defend farmers is being respected. And also at the same time, making the youth not feel it's not a fashion thing. At the same time, not making the youth who do it not feel it's more like sexy, so you have to go there only for money, but not looking in terms of livelihood. So also it's good, to, like what we have also done through another project we was here in Kenya, which was also involved, so that the NYS, when we had the good part with it was that there was also like encouragement of community to have like the sack garden, to be able to localize, because you know when you plant your own food, there's somehow connection with you and the earth and the soil, and you're able like taking it through a process. is that also to make you more getting more encouraged on how to do it much better if you cannot access land. And the other things about encourage equitable ownership of property at the domestic level among the different gender within the community. And just to set up with the family social units, that is the family, the smallest social units. Like how do you give your kids, both like the kids and at your household, both girl child and boy child? Do you say only my boy take the land or take the chicken or the cow, this is yours, or only consider also like giving your girl child also like the same property as the boy child? And I really like the model also like VI used in terms of engaging the school kids on how to be able to be engaging at an early age. The other one is encouraging the discrimination of agriculture amongst young people as an option for the old to have failed. Because most of us young people and also like elderly people who live especially also in Nairobi, as much as we have concern on access to land, there's that thing agriculture is for failure people. Like I remember when I was in high school, I had to drop because of the way we were being stigmatized. Like this one, no, it's not for Nairobi people, it's for Sharks people. So you are forced, even if you want to continue with it, to drop. So as a conclusion, there is great importance to involve both women and youth as primary stakeholders in the agriculture, and not considering them to be the stakeholders of tomorrow or the other day, but of today, because our energy and effort is needed. And that's why I had to put this one. As activists, we say, "Aluta continua," the struggle continues. The struggle to accommodate each one of us, despite our diversity, in the agriculture sector, at the same time, in the struggle of gender equality in different spaces. Hallelujah. Comrades, power.